We got tank fixes coming in, boys. Finally, Blizzard addressing some of the tanking issues in this game. Some of the most played classes as well. A little bit about those heroic invasion points and things and what can actually be dropping from those, how those are going to work. So we got a few things to get into, boys. So, but go ahead and buckle up without further ado. Let's go ahead and jump straight in. Wow, this week, well, we got not too much going on, honestly. Running out of time to adopt Rufus and support Habitat for Humanity if you want to go ahead and do that. Nice little thing people got going on there with that. Blizzard doing a little Habitat of Humanity kickback. 65 million people across the globe are helped with housing and shelter with this stuff. So, hey, buy a pet for a good cause if you still want that. It's a limited time thing and it should be ending soon. So if you want it, go get it. Mythic Dungeon International continues as well. Throwback to when I used to do this shit. Group B continues here starting May 15th. If you're interested, you can always watch this on the World of Warcraft Twitch channel and YouTube channel. And then finally, Burning Crusade Anniversary Packs are still available, 50% off on those. If you want to rebuy some of the shit, or rebuy like the rebuy steak, yeah, get yourself some good old mounts and shit. Yeah, Netherwing Drakes and all that shit. Some of this stuff also contributes right to retail WoW, so if you really want to get some retail WoW items, you can get some of that out of this as well. Also 50% off on services like name changes and boosts and shit like that. So there you go. Spend your money where it's best spent. Not on a tank of gas, but instead on virtual WoW items. Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned before, tanking changes. That's right, Blizzard addressing the state of tanking right now. It's weird in WoW, okay? The thing is, I think it's in a better spot than typical with the, Sora Dormu, Eye of Sora Dormu shit, where it kind of leads you through Mythic Plus. I've been saying we need that for quite a while now. They've given us that. But all in all, there's just a lack of tanks in the game. I play Blood DK because I'm a glutton for punishment. But most people out there just refuse to play tank, except for Monk. Right now, Brewmaster Monk is the most played tank in the game. It is the meta tank by a large margin, like not even close. So Blizzard implementing some changes here to the other tanks that may have been left behind. So here we go. Let's check this one out. For Blood DKs, we see Dancing Rune Weapon now grants 25% parry, was 20. So Blizzard's goal here with Blood DKs is to kind of lessen the insane amount of damage they suddenly take, the yo-yoing of their health and all that, and try to minimize that going on. So that Dancing Rune Weapon, first off, nice buff for them. Blood Fortification grants 40% stamina rather than 35. Improved Death Strike healing increased to 15%, was 5. That's huge. That's a big one right there. Nice buff there. Dance of the Midnight grants Dancing Rune Weapon for 8 seconds, was 6. And then Dance of Midnight, chance to proc, goes up to 12.5%, was 10. So nice buffs there for Blood. Blizzard kind of, as I said before, trying to make them more consistent and more reliable than they currently are. For Vengeance Demon Hunter, the developer notes say here, Vengeance Demon Hunter's baseline defenses are its most lacking. While the cooldown availability and value are currently serving the spec well, as a result, we will primarily target core values of health and damage reduction with an additional smaller increase to specifically to armor. So let's check this one out here. Demonic Wards now reduce all damage taken by 12%, was 8. Thick Skin now grants 55% increased stamina, was 50. Effectiveness of Mastery, Fell Blood increased by 20%. Then we see a Void Reaver now causes Frailty to reduce damage taken by 5%, was 4. Demonic Wards now reduces all damage by 12%, was 8. And Thick Skin grants 55% stamina, was 50. I think they put that twice in the notes there. So that's nice for them. Good buffs across the board. Yeah, definitely going towards a defensive mindset, trying to buff up their defensive abilities. Now, Prop Paladin. People have been telling me Prop Paladin's in the fucking gutter right now. So let's see what the developer notes are here. With these changes, Blizzard aims to improve baseline durability for Protection Paladins by increasing passive effects, which contribute to the effective health. We're also addressing on-demand survivability with adjustments to defensive cooldown coverage and strength. So to do that, they're giving Blessing of Dusk, which currently reduces damage taken, which now reduces damage taken by 20%, increases your health, and increases as your health decreases. It used to be a 10% increase as your health decreases, now 20, so that's good. Sanctified Plates increases stamina by 7 to 15%, was 5 to 10. Ardent Defender duration increases to 12 seconds was 8, and Ardent Defender now reduces damage taken by 30% was 20, and Sentinel duration increased to 20 seconds was 16. Yeah, learn to read, stupid. Why don't you quit being a bitch ass in that fucking chat? Come do it yourself, you little fuck boy. How about that? No, I love you. I'm sorry, man. I should have lashed out like that. That was messed up. Okay, moving on to Protection Warrior. Developer notes. Protection melee damage mitigation is quite strong, but it's a bit behind the magic attacks and damage over time effects. These changes are aimed to strengthen those areas as well as making it easier to maintain health for ignore pain values. So for Warrior, we got Fight Through Flame, reducing magic damage taken by 6% was 4. We got Phalanx reduces damage damage enemies deal to you by 8% was 5, and Ignore Pain effectiveness increased by 8%. So there you go, some more damage mitigation going down. That makes sense here. A lot more, it looks like just overall consistency and damage reduction stuff happening with these. Look, these buffs are great, but are they going to make people play tank more? I don't think so. I think we need, something needs to happen with tanking. I don't know if they need to introduce a new tanking class or give tanks some more rewards for playing. I have no idea. But yeah, right now, the way tanking is, it takes a certain kind of giga chat. I mean, you're looking at one right here to be able to handle the toxicity that comes with tanking, the issues that come with tanking, the responsibility that comes with tanking. It is quite a lot. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely some needed buffs for sure outside of Brewmaster Monk. So I'm happy to see those. Speaking of tanking, Valeera is a terrible tank. No surprise there. Valeera is absolute shit when it comes to tanking. Players are kind of voicing their opinions on Valeera right now when it comes to her delve tanking abilities. As of right now, honestly, Valeera's got some issues. When it comes to taunting, she really can't hold aggro on more than one target. Her healing right now, basically, if you want to heal Valeera, there's like this little mob that pops up on the side. You got to kill it to give her an 8% heal. That mob takes way too long to kill, and she needs better defensives and more stability when it comes to just her overall ability to handle damage. Valeera is great eye candy. She's hot. We all love seeing her run around in delves and everything. We all want to delve into her, to be honest. But as a tank, I think Blizzard needs to buff her a little bit, besides the fact that they're buffing all these other tanks. So maybe we'll see some buffs coming for Valeera soon, or maybe in the next season. But as of right now, yeah, using Valeera as a tank, not the most fun option for sure. Let's get into a little bit of Heroic World Tier conversation here. Heroic World Tier coming. We all know that. It's exciting. It's all right. The thing is, will it be worth it to do? Well, it certainly will be worth it to kill world bosses on Heroic World Tier. That's right. So these guys are going to be dropping a bit more gear and have a few more mechanics. For like overall overview, Blizzard kind of suggests 219 item level for normal World Tier, and then 274 item level for Heroic World Tier. So that's quite a big jump there. We're talking about like a 60 item level jump between the two. So quite a bit. And the thing is, if Blizzard's expecting that much of an item level difference, that means they're expecting this to be way harder. Now, what are we going to get with Heroic World Tier? Obviously, you're going to get affixes, a bunch of other stuff, but you're also going to be getting better gear. With the world bosses in general, they should be dropping heroic pieces of gear instead of champions, so that's better for sure. But you're going to have more mobs walking around. You're going to have a lot more things going on, like the debuffs, like the stalk debuff here, which means the guys can pop up on you. Kind of a little bit of an iteration on the prey system. You also have a debuff that will show off called the Hunted. This change means anytime you are in combat, a patrol elite will ambush you no matter where you are. So interesting stuff going on there with those two debuffs. Speaking of buffs and debuffs, we also know these affixes are coming in. We got 37 different affixes that will apply to all the mobs, including world bosses. So a lot of these, you could read through these on your own time if you'd like. I'll link this in the chat and down below. So a lot going on there. But the real reason you're going to go into Heroic World Tier, as I mentioned before, is kind of to kill the world bosses, right? So how are these world bosses going to work? They're a bit different than any kind of world boss we're used to right now. Essentially, with these world bosses, you're going to have about 15 players are suggested to kill these things. They do hit a bit harder. Now, as I mentioned before, on Heroic, they will drop hero track gear, so that's nice to see. But overall, in terms of difficulty, these guys are going to be harder than your typical world boss. Right now, a typical world boss has about 50 million health. These two will have 28 million health on normal World Tier, but if you're looking at them on Heroic, they're going to have 76 million health. So a lot more health to deal with. They're also going to have the affixes attached to them, a bunch of affixes, and not to mention some pretty big abilities that could really do some damage. These guys don't necessarily, you don't have to have a tank to be able to do them, but a tank is certainly suggested, as well as healers. You can heal yourself through some different mechanics, but definitely you're going to want to bring, you know, your typical raid makeup if you really want to just blast these guys down for the most part. At least a few healers and one tank probably necessary here. So these guys won't be any sort of walk in the park, but I think they'll be doable. If you bring enough people, you're going to kill these things and blast them down. As I said before, 15 suggested, which means if you're bringing like a full 30-man raid, you're probably going to blast this shit down. Moving on to some interesting class statistics and numbers here as we look at the current state of WoW. Right now, your most popular classes in 12.0.5. Let's look at some of the changes here that are going down. So right now, Paladin has risen once again. And I expect, honestly, with the prop Paladin buffs and stuff, we'll see even more of these guys. But right now, Retribution probably carrying the day with Paladin. Right, they've gone up 2 spots now, 13.7% of the player base currently playing Paladin. We see Druid dropping 1 spot. They were previously at the top. Now 12.3% of the player base playing Druid. Hunter has moved up 6 spots on this chart. That's right, everyone getting out their Legolas, RPers. Running around right now. Hunter's in a good spot in terms of DPS right now, so I guess it does make sense that they're gaining popularity. 9.5% of the player base currently playing Hunter. Demon Hunter down 3 spots. A lot of people, you know, started out excited about Demon Hunter, playing the new spec and everything else, but I think some of that excitement has fallen off. Shaman and Mage up big here. Shaman up 9 spots and Mage up 7 spots at the 5 and 6 spots here. 7.7% of the player base playing Shaman, 7.5% playing Mage. I think Mage has fluctuated a little bit. They started out very high with Frost Mage dealing some of the best damage in the game. They've dropped off a little bit since, but it looks like they're making a comeback here, so that's good to see for Mages. Death Knight down 4 spots. We've seen Unholy was really carrying Death Knight in terms of the play amount for them. Unholy getting some nerfs not too long ago, so a little bit of a drop-off for them. But overall, Death Knight still sitting there pretty at the 7 spot at 7.4%. Warrior right now, stagnant. I think the guys that play Warrior just always play Warrior. That's where they're sitting. 7.4% of the player base, no change with them. Warlocks down 5 spots. I keep saying it when we're forming up raid, guys. There are no fucking Warlocks playing the game. We cannot find damn Warlocks to summon anybody right now. Down 5 spots, so that makes sense. 7.1% of the player base currently playing Warlock. Priest up 11 spots. The biggest mover up in the entire chart. 11 spots for Priest. They flew up the chart. Recently getting buffs and everything. Shadow doing a little bit better too, so 6.7% of the player base now playing Priest. Monk down the most. 10 spots down for Monk. Brewmaster Monk still the meta tank right now. All Monk specs are not doing too bad right now. I'm surprised that this drop is happening. But 6.3% of the player base dropping at that point now. So that's where they currently sit at the 11th spot at 6.3%, as I said. Rogue sitting stagnant at 12, and Evoker sitting stagnant at 13. So that's where the numbers currently sit. We'll look at these again later on, but no surprise here. The guy who's typically at the top here, Paladin, still at the top once again. So big moves there. We'll see what ends up happening as these buffs and debuffs and all this other shit continues to happen in the player base. Finally, let's look at the key times right now, guys. So keys right now, sitting globally, just a 1.02% drop-off from last week. That's a very minimal drop-off. It's kind of stabilized right now if we look at the chart overall. Don't look at the China shit that always fluctuates stuff. But overall right now, Midnight Season 1 looking nice, sitting right now at the top, beating every single war within season. So yeah, Midnight Season 1 still holding extreme popularity in terms of what we've typically seen. It's a good season overall. Easy season. I think that's what people like to see, and that's why they're doing so well. Now, one thing that's not easy, Mayasara Cavern still sitting at the bottom here. We see an overall success rate shot up by 1.99% of total points to now 91.29% overall success rate on keys run. A switch in affixes can change a lot early in the season. Pit of Sauron currently sitting at 92.78%. Once again, ahead of Skyreach at 92.60%. Seat of the Triumvirate, 91.9%. They're doing great. Academy, also 91.6%. They had the biggest increase. They recently saw a nerf. These went up about 4% in terms of completion rate. Going through all these right now, still the lowest by far, Myasara Caverns, sitting at 87.74%. Once again, dead last. The gap between Myasara Caverns and Nexus Point, which is the second lowest, continues to widen. It is now widened by another 2.8% points. I don't know. Blizzard can't convince people to run this dungeon. Myasara is just really taking a shit. It is a shit show. Now, we're not seeing anything as crazy as like Mists of Tyrannocythe or anything where that thing was like 80% of the runs of the season or something. But Myasara is struggling to catch up. Blizzard continues to try to nerf that dungeon to bring people back in, but I don't know, people just don't like that place. They just don't like it. Looking overall right now, 35.23% of all keys are run at a level 10 or higher. Since the achievement came out and everything, we saw a shift up. Now people are pushing 18s and 20s. 16 gaining much more popularity here, as we've seen. Obviously, players are doing 16s for the achievements right now. We're seeing about an 84.57% completion rate on these. So a pretty good completion time. I mean, most people are completing these dungeons at a pretty high clip. But 16s is the golden number. If you don't know, for the 3400 achievement, that's where you want to be. 16s across the boards. Now, you could do lower on some and higher on others, but overall, the average should be about completing a 16 across the board for those. Looking good right now. The drop-off rate here at key 22, probably the highest, 75% of people being able to do those, and then it drops off from there. So, yeah, pretty hard drop-off after a 22 right now. That seems to be the cutoff of where people start to lose success. 23, nobody looks like they've completed those just yet. So, keep pushing higher. And remember, that top 1% achievement's still out there, so people are definitely going for that one. And then what we can gather from all this, Myasara Cavern still needs nerfs. Preferably, its trash and gauntlet towards the final boss is pretty extreme. Otherwise, it will turn into yet another City of Threads. Oh no, our Grim Patroller Arakara. Yeah, we don't want to see that. As of writing this, 120 hours after the U.S. reset, hourly numbers for the U.S. and EU are trailing behind by 10.55 to 10.6%, and then China also dropping off there. But we'll continue to break these numbers down as we continue to pump out this shit. Overall, happy with the tanking changes, but I think we need more. I don't know. We see more people playing tank. And for today, that is all in terms of news.